nama je gospodin Greg Peterson, koji dolazi iz Phoenixa, odnosno Arizone, Američke savezne države, i tamo vodi svoju urbanu farmu, projekt koji objedinjuje puno toga iz permakulture i sličnih znanosti. Isto tako je osnivač ovih Phoenix Gardensa, znači njihove inačice društvenih vrtova, i veliki stručnjak uglavnom u području permakulture. Od svoje 15. godine se s tim bavi, s tim zanima, tako da sigurno njegova iskustva i tehnike same permakulture s kojom ćemo se danas upoznati svakako su primjenjivi na naše uvjete i na naše vrtove, tako da to će biti najzanimljiviji dio. Pa evo, pričat ćemo koliko smo se sporazumjeli o nekim tako osnovama permakulture. So, that's it. I welcome you, Greg Peterson.
So I understood permacultura,
yes.
Greg Peterson,
Yes.
and urban farm.
That's good.
So how many people can understand what I'm saying? Do we kind of? Okay, who can help interpret?
Oh, yes, I can.
Okay, very good. Very good. You want to
So
sit?
I can sit next to him.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Martina.
You're welcome.
My name is Greg Peterson. I live at the urban farm, and how I usually start my talks
Živim na urbanoj farmi, to je način koji inače započinje svoj govor.
I ask who's been there.
I pitam ko je bio tamo.
The urban farm is in the middle of a city,
Urbana farma nalazi se usred grada,
but a big city,
velikog grada,
4.5 million people,
4,5 milijuna ljudi.
and I'm pretty much in the center. I have 0.1 hectare,
0.1, to je
tenth of a hectare, 1/10 of a hectare.
Desetina jedna hektara.
1,000 square meters.
1,000 square meters, yes, that's how much space I have.
1000 metara kvadratnih.
And I've been gardening there for 26 years.
I tamo se bavim vrtlarstvom već 26 godina.
And I originally purchased it 26 years ago because I wanted to garden.
I nedavno sam zapravo kupio to zemljište, jer sam se htio baviti vrtlarstvom.
And in 1991, I discovered permacultura. Permaculture is what we call it.
1991. sam otkrio permakulturu.
And for me, it was wow, this is what I've looked for my entire life.
Za mene je to bilo ono što sam tražio cijeli život. Wow.
Wow.
Well, they understood that.
Yes, very good, very good. So thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate being able to come and visit with you.
Hvala što ste me primili. Zahvala sam što mogu biti ovdje s vama.
Thank you for your hospitality
Na vašem gostoprimstvu, hvala.
and your enthusiasm.
I vašem entuzijazmu.
Because I believe that the way change happens in the world is by doing what we do.
Smatram da promjene se u svijetu događaju radeći ono što mi radimo.
Martina was nice enough to translate. Come. Martina was nice enough to translate one of my books. I have a little book. We call these mini books.
Da, znači ono što sam ja prevela me zamolio, to je jedna od ovih knjižica.
And Martina was kind enough to translate the whole thing in the past 2 days.
Da, prevela sam to ja sad 2 dana.
Is that amazing? I just said to her the other day, wow, wouldn't it be great to have this in Croatian?
Da, rekao sam prije par dana, ne bi to bilo super imati na hrvatskom.
And she just did it. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Have you seen this book?
Jeste vidjeli ovu knjigu?
Jesmo.
I left you a copy.
Yes.
This is a book, it was started, permaculture started about 1971.
Permakultura ima svoje početke 1971.
By a gentleman named Bill Mollison.
Znači, Bill Mollison je začetnik permakulture.
He lives in Tanzania, near Australia.
Tanzania, da.
Say Australia, that's good. Down there.
Down under.
We're down there. Down under. Down under. Very good. And permaculture for me was an awakening. It was a new way of looking at the world.
Permakultura je za mene bilo buđenje, novi način gledanja na svijet.
Because it first looks to nature to inform us on how to design systems.
Jer prvo gleda u prirodu i informira nas kako
Kao predložen kako.
dizajnira svijet.
Understand this?
Yes.
Yes. So that's what I like about permaculture is it's nature that tells us how to do things.
To je ono što mi se sviđa, da priroda nama govori kako posložiti svijet. Jel?
Permaculture, the word, came from two words, permanent and culture, or alternatively permanent and agriculture.
Znači, sama riječ je nastala spajanjem riječi permanentna, trajna i kultura ili permanentna agrikultura.
And the basic premise or the ethics, you know that word, ethics?
Principle.
The basic ethics of permaculture is care for the earth,
Osnovno načelo permakulture je briga o zemlji,
care for the people,
briga o ljudima
and share surplus.
i dijeljenje viškova.
Yes. When starting to do permaculture, when learning permaculture,
Kada se počnete baviti permakulturom, učite o njoj,
the basic thing to do is to go out and observe.
osnovna stvar koju treba napraviti je otići van i promatrati.
So I have a question for you.
Pa imam pitanje za vas.
When you go out to your garden,
Kad idete u svoj vrt,
what is there to observe?
što imate za promatrati tamo?
A lot, everything.
A lot, yeah.
Yes, but specifically, what is there to observe?
Biljke, kukce, da, ne životinje.
Plants, bugs.
Yes.
Za kukce.
She said a hotel for the bugs.
A hotel for the bugs, yes. I love hotels for bugs, especially the good bugs.
Da, pogotovo za dobre kukce. No?
Pa ja se nadam da su samo dobri, pa moraju i oni loši živjeti.
The bad ones also need to live, yeah?
Yes, yes. Yes, yes, absolutely. So one of the big things to observe for are live things that interact with your garden. Things that are alive. Bugs, people, rats, squirrels,
Da, znači sve što je
rabbits.
živo što se ima za promatrati. Ljudi, biljke, ne znam, vjeverice, šahori, jo?
Ježevi.
Hedgehogs. She said hedgehogs.
Hedgehogs, yes. And moles.
Yeah.
Krvice.
Krtice.
Yes.
Užemi
So-
kolač. Slugs.
Frogs.
Yeah. Frogs.
Slugs.
Do frogs do damage to your garden?
Da li žabe oštećuju
No,
vrtić?
okay, just to see. Okay, good. So these are all things that can either positively or negatively impact our garden that we have to pay attention to.
Znači, to su sve stvari koje pozitivno ili negativno mogu utjecati na naš vrt i na koje treba paziti.
What else?
Što još?
Vetor.
Weather.
Weather?
Vetor.
Absolutely the weather. Especially today, our garden's getting nicely watered today, yes? Yes, the weather. Where's the sun at?
A gdje se sunce nalazi?
And how much sun we get?
Koliko sunca dobiva vrh?
See,
Zbog sjena isto.
Sjena.
Kao sjena sunca.
Kao shadow, ne?
Shadows.
shadow, oh yes, yes. Shadow, shade, absolutely. Absolutely. In Arizona, where I'm from, we can grow food all year round.
Znači u
12 months a
Arizoni
year.
možemo uzgajati hranu kroz cijelu godinu, jel? Svaki mjesec u principu ima urod neki, jel?
So part of what we observe for is cold weather crops and warm weather crops.
Znači ono što mi promatramo su usjevi ili kulture koje dijele onda u kulture za toplo i hladno vrijeme.
So there's,
We do the same
here.
here.
Yeah.
okay, so there's those things that we can notice right now.
To su stvari koje možemo sada vidjeti.
So where's the sun, where's the water come from, bugs, those kinds of
Sunce,
things.
odakle dolazi voda, kupce.
But in permaculture, we also want to observe for where things are growing to.
Ali permakulturi nas također zanima u kom smjeru, kamo rastu te biljke.
So if we plant a tree, the tree's going to grow up in shade. Do we necessarily want that?
Znači
Okay, so-
ako posadimo drvo i daje nam krošnje radi hlad, nas zanima kuda taj hlad ide, jel nam to paše ili ne.
So we have to think into the future.
Pa razmišljamo unaprijed.
Na sjenu kud baca drvo.
Yeah, that's what we do, yeah, she said.
Of course. We don't do that in the United States. No, not in the U.S. So and this is good feedback for me as well, because I've lived in the U.S. all my life, and we do things a particular way, which is not like this. And
Znači živim u Americi cijeli svoj život i radimo stvari na svoj način, ali ne na ovaj kao u Hrvatskoj.
so permaculture starts with observation. And actually in permaculture you want to observe, make small incremental changes, and observe some more.
Znači permakultura počinje sa promatranjem, znači promatra se u malim kao...
Nego dodaje se u malom, postupno se dodaje i opet se promatra.
Da.
Yeah. So small changes over time.
Promatraju se male promjene i nadodaju se onda
Male promjene.
novi koraci.
That's a key piece. You don't want to go making big changes that you can't change easily back.
Ne ide se u startu sa velikim promjenama koje se onda ne mogu više promijeniti, nego mali koraci, male promjene.
So permaculture is about, if I use the word protracted, do you know what that means? Long.
Produženo.
Long observation, small changes, and then watch some more.
Znači,
And then small changes, and then watch some more.
dugoročno promatranje, male promjene, pa opet promatranje, pa male promjene.
No eto, mic po mic.
Step by step, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we Americans, we want to run real fast and do it all.
Da, mi
And make lots
želimo
of
sve
changes.
odjednom, brzo napraviti i da bude promjena.
I know, right? They're laughing at it, right? Hello? Do that. Hello? So that's the permaculture ethics. Care for the earth, care for the people, share the surplus. Permaculture is about observation.
Znači, rezimira sad ovo.
So go out and observation, go out and observe. I'm just going to go through some of the points in here. Permaculture is relative to location, so it's very specific to each location.
znači permakultura je za nju bitna lokacija, za pojedinu lokaciju se veže, jel?
So permaculture design at my place would look different than the permaculture design at my neighbor's place, that would look different than the permaculture design at your place. They're all different.
Znači, permakultura koja se nalazi kod njega doma u njegovom vrtu se razlikuje od one koja je kod susjeda ili kod nas, recimo.
Because there's different things going on in the different spaces.
U svakom prostoru se drugačije stvari odvijaju.
So permaculture is relative to the space, always.
Znači, uvijek se permakultura bazira na samu lokaciju, pojedinačno.
The next principle I like to call stacking functions. Stacking.
Na dodavanje funkcije.
Da, sljedeće kao načelo on naziva, ali nekakve dodavajuće funkcije sad.
Stacking. So what that means is one asset, one thing, does many things. I'll explain more. Okay, so one thing.
U principu jedna stvar koja se nagrađuje druge.
Koja radi više stvari, koja obavlja više funkcije isto.
A, ta jedna stvar.
No, to ti stek.
Okay. So I like to talk about the permaculture chicken.
Ja ću govoriti o kokici.
Yes.
Permakulturi.
A chicken in my yard, and I know a chicken in your yard, does many things.
Kokoš u mojem dvorištu i u vašem dvorištu radi puno stvari.
Eats bugs,
Jede
eats weeds,
travu,
poops,
kaka,
yeah, manure, right? Digs,
brca, kopa.
and looks pretty.
Izgleda lijepo.
Yes. So that's a permaculture chicken in my yard. In the U.S., when they're chickens in the U.S., so in the corporate model or the company model, a chicken is good for eggs, and when it's done with the eggs, they basically throw out the chicken.
Da, kao kokoš u principu u Americi gledano iz aspekta firma koje proizvode jaja, znači kokoš služi samo za jaje. Kad da jaje, kokoš više ne treba, jel? A u permakulturi nije tako.
It's crazy. So, this permaculture chicken does many things. So everything that we interact with in our gardens, we want to set them up so they do many things. And I saw some things when I was out at your garden the other day that are set up to do many things.
Okay, I just blocked a little bit.
Okay, good. That's it.
U principu, stvari u vrtu međusobno...
Koliko u njegovom vrtu kao radi nove stvari, a i sad u posjeti našim vrtima vidio neke stvari koje služe za više toga.
Obavljaju više stvari.
So, what do you have in your gardens that do many things? Again, it's called stacking functions.
Da, znači što imate u vrtu koji stvari imate u vrtu koje radi više stvari jedno?
I saw a lot there.
Vidio sam puno.
Imamo kompost. Ne, kompost.
Compost, absolutely compost. Absolutely compost.
She said flowers.
Flowers, yes. What are flowers good for?
They protect the other plants.
Yeah, absolutely. For protecting the other plants. I loved how you guys took old broomsticks and made them for climbing. That's beautiful. That is permaculture. I think what you'll discover for yourselves is that you already do permaculture. Permacultura.
Znači vi već u svojim vrtovima radite i bavite se permakulturom. Ono što je vidio drške od metla, da se biljke penju, to je super stvar.
Right, exactly. So when I first did my permaculture course in 1991,
kad sam prvi puta imao svoj tečaj permakulture 1991.
there was this older gentleman, he was 90 years old,
Bio tamo jedan stari
And he used to-
gospodin 90
walked up and down the street
hoda ulicom,
in front of my house, and I grabbed him one day,
pa sam ga zgrabio jedan dan.
and I said, "Look what I'm doing!"
Pogledaj što ja radim.
And he stood back and he said, "Yeah, that's the way we used to do it."
Što vi to radite?
Yes. So that's this is actually one of the exciting things for me.
To je ono što je mene uzbudljivo u svemu tome. Jedna stvar uzbudljivo u tome.
Actually get to come someplace where there's permaculture in action.
Volim doći negdje i vidjeti onda permakulturu u akciji.
Yes. That's good for my heart.
To dobro za moje srce.
And the food is good for my tummy. So we have stacking functions. Okay. This is a little harder concept. Each function serves many purposes.
Znači svaka funkcija služi za više namjena.
So it's about, in my yard at the urban farm,
U mom dvorištu
there's lots of food.
ima puno hrane.
Fruit trees, I have chickens, I have vegetables,
Znači ima voćke, kokoši,
So I have-
povrće.
lots of different food coming from everywhere.
Iz različitih izvora hrana dolazi.
Right? So if one of them goes bad, I don't lose it all.
A ako jedan se pokvari, ne gubi sve.
The next premise of permaculture, the next principle of permaculture is energy efficiency,
Da, sljedeće načelo u permakulturi je energetska učinkovitost.
being efficient with the energy that you use.
Biti efikasan u korištenju.
And energy can be electricity, but also water.
Energija u smislu struja, voda.
Okay. So I saw something the other day at the garden,
Evo, vidio sam nešto neki dan u vašem vrtu.
plastic water bottles with the bottom cut off and water in them.
Plastične male bočice sa vodom.
Okay. What are those for?
Za što to služi?
For watering? Okay. I thought they were for holding on to heat, a heat sink, so they warm up during the day.
Da je to za zadržavanje topline.
This is also an example of stacking functions, because you take a plastic water bottle and you use it for something else.
Znači to je opet taj primjer ovog načela kao kad se gomilaju funkcije. Znači uzme se plastična boca, koristi se za više funkcija.
Basically in permaculture, and you make use of what you have.
Osnovni princip permakulturi je koristiti ono što imate na raspolaganju.
So they're all sitting out there going, yeah, okay, now tell us something we don't know.
Pa mi smo takve zemlje.
Samo klimamo.
All right, what was that?
This is our culture, we just nod with
Am
our
I turning
head.
red?
That's right. This is cultural programming, cultural programming in our country. To nod with our heads. Entire life we nod, we just nod.
So I have a question for you then, given that you know what I'm going to talk about.
Imam pitanje za vas, budući da vi znate o čem ću ja pričati.
Let me ask you this.
Spada da u stvari radimo sve dobro.
It turns out that all things we do it well.
Yeah. So, what do you want to know about permaculture? I've been studying it for 25 years.
Znači, što želite znati o permakulturi? Ja je proučavam već 25 godina. Bitno.
That is the secret.
S obzirom da već sve...
The big secret.
What's the big secret?
Martina, reci njemu da mi uvažavamo njegovo predavanje, ali da mi nismo krivi kad smo jednostavno to sve tak delali.
I have a question. We have a little experience, if you take for reference our eco gardens, we have little experience in long-term planning. What you have you spoke about it before, right? You have to plan. You have to plan in detail.
Yes,
you have to know. You have to be able to predict future. In the future,
Yes.
present actions, so on. Well, how do you make a long-term permacultural plan or something like that to make these gardens work in the future, to be able, so we can develop our gardens in without a lot of effort or errors or something like that. So we know now how to plan for a few years in the future. Right. We have little experience in that because a lot of people have their own garden. I have my own garden for like 15 years. My mother has it. But we have no experience in large-scale planning.
Yes.
Because this is gonna be like 5,000 square meters, the whole parcel when we expand it, right? It's gonna happen in a few weeks. We're gonna expand it, then we're gonna have 5,000 square meters, which is a reasonable size, right?
That's big.
It's big. So how do we plan? How do we plan for the future? Because we have no extensive experience. We have experience with small plots, right? Small gardens like 100 square meters, 200 square meters, but this is 5,000 square meters. Which cultures to plant, how to organize. This, if you have any advice about it, because you say 1,000 square meters.
Yes.
Which is a lot bigger than any garden that we have. I have, for example, like 150 square meters. Which is smaller compared to 5,000 square meters, right?
Yeah. So I have an answer for you. First of all, y'all have done a really good job with what you've done. I was absolutely amazed that you filled up, 46 garden plots?
Right. Znači, oduševljen je ovim gradom u vrtovima.
In 2.5 months.
Spunili u 2,5 mjeseca 40 i nešto.
It takes us years to do that. So, first of all, observe. So, you've already done something that worked. How did you do that and replicate that? So, that again, in permaculture, observation is the main premise of it. So, you're doing something that works. Another suggestion I have, on the way over here tonight, we went by a community garden. It's just a half a kilometer from here.
Znači, danas dok sada smo prolazili kroz pokraj vrtova,
that apparently was formed in the late 1800s.
Koji su navodno napravljeni kasnim, what did you say?
Kasnom u 19.
1800s. It's very old.
No. 1980s, I think.
1980s?
Yeah, by the remains of the fort.
Yes.
At any rate, they're doing something right there. Are you friends with them?
They are not organized, they are just individuals. And it's in a gray area, It's never been settled with the city, but
I'm going to walk over there on Friday and see it. But again, that goes back to the observation. So you go out and observe what other people are doing.
Znači sve se bazira na promatranju. Dođete i gledate što drugi rade.
Given that your culture is so different than mine in doing these kinds of things,
Uzimajući u obzir da je vaša kultura različita od moje,
I don't know that I would have much success actually doing a community garden there.
ne znam da li bih imao u stvari uspjeha radeći vrt ovdje.
Because I would do it very differently.
Ja to drugačije radim.
Nema problema. Mi bomo isprobali sve.
Nema problema. Bi vam pomogli.
Okay.
Reci da nam je donesu sjemenje i da bomo mi to isprobali pa mu javno. Da li...
Yeah, she said that you brought us those seeds, desert seeds.
Yes, yes.
They're going to plant them and then let you know how it's going.
Very good. And you got my email, yes? Yes, very good. Very good. Then the other thing I would suggest you do for your gardens is the soil is very sandy here.
Ono što bih sljedeće vam predložiti za vrt, tlo je dosta pjeskovito.
Add organic material. Compost, leaves, mulch, lots and lots and lots and lots of compost.
Komposta.
The compost in my garden, over the years, it's been 25 years.
Kompost u mom vrtu već 25 godina.
That thick.
Toliko.
I dig down at least 12 inch, third of a meter.
Trećina metra.
At least that far before I hit dirt.
Dok ne dođem do zemlje.
So, going back to your question, cultural perspective, what I suggest that you do is go with what you know already and go and observe what other people are doing. And then specifically for your garden, add compost. Lots of it. And do fun things like she does in her garden.
Make labyrinths.
Da, znači u principu ono što savjetujem je da radite ono što već radite, znate, promatrate druge što rade i dodate puno komposta i radite zabavne stvari koje želite.
Definitely. Nice. What else? What else do you want to know about permaculture?
Okay, how to use some of the principles in every single plot. That is not 5,000 square meters, but 50 square meters, one plot by one. What basic techniques can people use in their own plot so it will help them? And
Okay, I can answer that too.
Znači,
Well-
to je kako na pojedinačnoj parceli primijeniti permakulturu. Znači, ne velika površina, nego mala parcela, kako, šta posaditi, kako to organizirati.
And tell them they're going to laugh at me.
What?
Tell them they're going to laugh at me.
I vi ćete se sad smijet mene.
Or laugh with me. Okay, compost, lots of it.
Opet puno komposta.
Okay. Save seeds. So you're regenerating seeds right on
Čuvajte
site.
sjemenke, da, regeneracija sjemenke.
Collect rainwater.
Kišnicu skupljate.
These are all, these are all working with nature. The nice thing about this much compost,
Super stvar u tolikoj količini komposta.
I have to water my garden less.
Ne moram toliko zalijevati vrt.
So the more compost you put on your garden, the less water you have to put on it.
Čim imate više komposta, manje treba vode za zalijevanje.
And given that you're hauling water in at this point, or you got water now, you got a pipe.
yes,
So you still have to haul it to the garden beds, right?
yes, couple more days.
Go where it is.
Da, s obzirom na taj problem vode na vrtovima, kad ste u fazi dovlačenja do pojedinih parcela, kompost je valjda rješenje, no?
Here's what you do. Ask yourself, what would nature do?
Pitajte se što bi priroda napravila.
Permaculture. What would nature do here? What else? You guys could teach this.
How about, so it's like community garden, so it's many people on one plot.
Yes.
And how would you make people collaborate to make like one unified project that would work together and...
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
No.
Okay.
Because here's what happens. With 45 different plot owners there, okay, 45 different people there, they're going to collaborate. Mostly, you know, you might have one or two that come in and don't work with anybody. You need to...
Aha, okej. Znači, pitala je Alina kako principno pravi da ljudi surađuju na vrtu, znači 40 i neke parcela, 40 vlasnika, kako napravi da se to savršeno funkcionira i vlasnici. Ali kaže, pa u principu ne treba jer vlasnici već surađuju, ne? Možda će ih se par naći koji neće sudjelovati, ali ovo ostalo već to funkcionira.
Let people work together when they want to work together.
Pustite ih da rade zajedno kad žele raditi zajedno.
Here's one of the things that we do as human beings.
Ovo je jedna stvar što mi radimo kao ljudska bića.
We push and we push and we push and we push and we push.
Da.
Or I'll tell you, you've got to do this. And what happens? It's like,
Kad ne tjeramo na nešto, onda...
not gonna happen.
Yeah, but just think that it is a good thing, like in permaculture, it is good to not have like big plots of the same thing in the same space. So maybe that everybody works on their plots the way they do it, it's much better for the soil to do it like that, so you don't have to have a big project.
Yeah, right, you don't have to have a big project. Yeah.
So that is what's in my question from the beginning.
One of the things that we do in our country is that we make corn on thousands of hectares. Thousands and thousands of hectares.
Tisuće hektara se sadi kukuruz u Americi.
Where I'm staying out at some shallow selo.
Selo, Sunny Village.
Yeah, where I'm staying out at Sunny Village. Up on the hill in back is this farm, and they have a wild area. They have corn, and they have fruit trees, and they have grapevines in this area, right? That's normal for you, right?
Kod nas monokultura na većim površinama.
Šta sad?
Znači, tamo gdje su sunčano selo ima neka kao farma u blizini koja ima znači, malo kukuruze, malo voćaka i tako, znači na malom prostoru puno toga. To je naravno puno bolje nego to koliko se sadi na veliku površinu monokultura, ne? Ali naravno znamo i mi da i kod nas ima i velikih polja s jednom kulturom. But yes, most of our land is chopped up by a small.
That is a really good thing. From a natural perspective, because, you know, you have a wild area for bugs and birds and pollinators, and you know, and then you rotate the crops. That again, all permaculture. You know, it's like this is how nature does it. Another thing, who asked about what you could do in your garden? I'm sure you've grown corn, and then you have something grow up the corn. Yes? Like a bean grow up the corn. And that stacking functions, that concept of stacking functions with plants. Amaranth, do you guys know amaranth? It's a grain.
Da znate amarant, zrna. They know, but they don't plant it, yeah.
I've got some growing in the front yard. And those bean seeds that I gave you?
Ona zrnca graha ili sjeme graha.
I plant them underneath and they climb up the amaranth because the amaranth gets this tall.
Da, amarant visoko naraste, a taj grah onda okolo njega.
You could do the same thing with sunflowers.
Ona priča o kukuruzi, kako su ga stari indijanci uzgajali, čitala sam to na internetu, I onda su isto ono, kukuruz, grah, tipice.
She probably said something about three sisters.
No, the Indians used that same sort of technique, and they used it to go up the corn.
Three sisters. Corn, bean, squash.
Yeah.
We call that the three sisters.
Okay.
Can we plant amaranth here in Croatia? Is it a plant that can grow here in Croatia?
Which?
Amaranth.
Amaranth? I'm sure.
Yeah? The weather is good for this kind.
Yeah, it's a nice grain.
Yeah.
It actually just grows wild in my yard.
U njegovom vrtu zapravo raste već kod divlje.
I planted it there a few years ago and just comes back. And
Da, 3 godine sam postavio i znamo raste.
You get seeds from
yeah. Oh no, not amaranth. No.
Beans.
Yeah, beans, onions, and
Leča.
yeah, I can't remember.
Soja, od da je leča od sjemena koje on donese. To je jedna vrsta graha, domorodačkog. Našla sam ja to i pročitala.
Oh yes, the wheat. Yes.
Do you plant, an interesting, do you plant soya?
Soy?
Soybeans.
No?
No.
Because it's very good for health.
Why not?
Why not soya?
It's not
I
something.
always ask everybody who has a garden, do you plant soya?
Mhm.
And nobody does.
It's a bean. It's easy to grow. I've grown it in the past. I don't grow it now because it's not something I care for.
Why not? You need soya instead of
Personal
meat.
preference.
If you don't want
yes.
eat meat,
Oh yeah. I completely agree.
you know,
Mhm.
and it's very healthy plant
Oh yes.
for our health. Japanese, they say, eat soya every day.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he's not Japanese.
And I don't
It's not got such a good reputation in the United States.
No, because it is
It's from
Because
Japan.
we're
genetic,
It's
probably.
from China.
Yeah.
like in Croatia.
I think all of the soya in the whole world right now is genetically modified.
Yes. But one farm in Croatia, the name of that farm is Seed, zrno. Možda znate, nije na Vrbanci. To svi znate, jel? They told me that they have an original soya, healthy soya. But I don't know whether I can believe or not. Then, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So what we call those original plants, we call them heirloom seeds. They're the original plants. And that's the only thing I plant at the urban farm. So the seeds that I brought you are original seeds. Okay? And when you plant them, they'll make a duplicate of what you planted.
Znači, on samo sadi na farmi originalna ta sjemena koja je zove heirloom i kad ih posadi, u principu koristi ih ponovo jer se one dupliciraju.
The main reason I do that is so that I can let the plants plant themselves the next year.
Glavni razlog zašto to radim jer puštam biljke da same sebe umnažaju.
So my yard is wild and it just grows things every year.
Moj vrt je zapravo kao divlji i svake godine rastu nove stvari.
Again, permaculture. It's like I put systems in place so that the natural systems can manage the garden. So I don't have to do it.
Prirodni sistemi odvijaju se u vrtu, ne moram ja tu ništa previše raditi. It's too bad that you don't have a projector so it could show us your farm or something.
You have a computer?
I have my computer.
You can maybe pass around the computer if you want.
A ima se urbanfarm.com.
Ima adresa na
.org.
papirima.
Yeah.
I put the address on the paper, so...
Oh, good. urbanfarm.org. Yeah, and there's a video there you can watch. You can watch videos.
Mene još nešto zanima o malčiranju. Ne znam kako se veli malčiranje. Mulch. What do you think about mulching or no work gardening? I have one book from 1995. It's really valuable for me in garden.
So, I didn't hear your question, I'm sorry.
What do you think about mulching?
What do you think about mulching?
Mulching? Oh,
Yeah.
the more the better. Absolutely.
Što više to bolje.
And bugs under the mulch, do we need to turn it on
I don't.
after the rain or
I let it be.
let it be?
I let it be. Here's the thing. When nature is out of balance, that's when the pests destroy our plants.
Kada je priroda u disbalansu, tada dolazi do štete na biljkama.
So you've seen your plants covered with bugs, and it's like there's a lot of them, right?
Kad biljke napadnu kukci.
So our job as permaculturists is to put things back in balance.
Znači, naš cilj u permakulturi vratiti stvari natrag u ravnotežu.
So when I have the mulch there and there's a few bugs in there, things are in balance, and I let them be.
Kad, znači,
nakon malčiranja,
ima malčiranja i vidi kukce unutra, ostavi se unutra, ne smetaju.
Kako baš patliđan voli kukce ili kukci vole patliđan, ne znam kako se vele patliđan.
Eggplant. Aha, kaj pitate zakaj? Da.
Not a fan of eggplant, but what's the question?
Eggplant likes, bugs likes eggplants. Or why is it so?
Good question.
I don't know what to do with better.
Yeah. There are particular bugs that like all of our plants.
Postoje određeni kukci koji vole svo bilje.
Typically, when a plant gets old, it becomes more susceptible to bugs.
Čim je biljka starija, ona počinje više biti
And
osjetljiva na kukce.
the best thing that you can do is build healthy soil underneath the plants. Lots of mulch.
Najbolja stvar je onda puno nove zdrave zemlje ispod te biljke. Puno
Mulch. Y'all understand mulch? Great. So, here is a great way to build soil. It's called sheet mulching, like bed sheets.
Znači, dobar način za
izgradnju zemlje kao tla, izgradnju tla.
Do you know lasagna? You know the word lasagna? Lasagna gardening?
Znam, lasagna gardening.
Lasagna gardening.
Princip koji se zovu lasagna tlarenje.
So, it's really simple, and you can actually make it 12, 24, 30 inches thick. What I do is I use hay and leaves.
Sjeno i lišće.
This much. So I fluff it, so you get this fluffy layer of, right? Add some manure.
Malo gnojiva doda.
Just a little bit of manure on there to break it down. Another layer of leaves and straw and
Novi sloj lišća.
a little bit more manure.
Opet malo gnojiva.
This is the lasagna part. Okay. Another layer. Now you can put as many layers as you want. So now you have this nice, fluffy lasagna garden. Okay. And what happens over time, over 6 months to a year, you build this, 2 or 3 inches of nice, healthy soil. And the thing about lasagna gardening is, you can actually do this. You can make a little, hole in it, put some soil in there, and plant a plant right in there.
Znači, možete napraviti rupa u tom cijelom s tim svim slojevima i staviti zemlju i biljku postaviti unutar toga.
And as it breaks down, the plant drops.
I kako se te slojevi s vremenom stanjuju, jel, zbijaju, biljka izanjena.
So one of the things I would suggest is that you all, before next season starts, sheet mulch your garden.
Ono što bih vam ja predložio je taj način za sljedeću sezonu, jel, kad skrećete s vrtovima, upravo taj način.
I have a question. Can you grow here in the winter? Can you garden here in the winter?
No.
Yes? No.
Da
Great.
se može vrtlariti zimi, jel?
Great.
Može se.
Ma može se, kako se ne može? Dok je snijeg pol metra minus.
Digneš na metar, možeš dići greljice u zrak i plastenik.
You mean that white fluffy stuff that comes out of the sky?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, then what I would suggest you do is when you're done, when it's time to be done for the season, sheet mulch your garden this thick.
Znači, kad je sezona gotova, upravo to napravite.
And then leave it till the spring. And when you come in the spring, you're going to have some nice healthy soil.
I proljeće kad dođete, imat ćete super.
Question.
Probala zimsku svoje vrta. Na polu vrta sam to napravila, jer mi je odmaralo do proljeća, a jednu policu sam...
That's what she did, kind of on half of her garden. She made that, and in springtime, the new soil kind of waited for her.
Yes, yes. That's why you're paying me to be here.
Zato i meni plaćate da
Ova koja mi je odmarala zimi, koja je bila pod
Question?
What kind of fertilizer did you mention? About leaves and
So the fertilizer or the manure that goes in there, whatever you can get a hold of, whatever nitrogen-based fertilizer manure you can get a hold of. So what would that be? What do you guys have here that you could get a hold of?
Koje gnojivo se koristi?
from the animals,
From animals, yes.
something.
Duck, chicken,
Horse, cow,
cows,
horses.
pigs, sheep.
They don't have sheep.
Većinom od stajskih nove krava.
No, konjsko je bilo.
Mineralno.
Horse.
A konjski gnoj je jako malo.
Krava najviše.
There you go. That's what you use. Yeah. And get creative with what you use for the fluff. I mean, you could use corn stalks in there. And really any kind of dried garden, yard, litter, anything that, that's dried, you can put in there.
Like something that goes in compost.
Yes.
You can put.
Yes. All this is slow composting right in place on your garden.
Did you know that in Dalmatia they use stones for mulching? They use like stones.
Stones? Rock?
Yeah. And birds.
Okay, there you go.
Ok, znači, kažem, možete biti kreativni s tim kako slažete to lazanje, znači mogu se staviti bilo kakve ostaci i od kukuruze, ovi listovi i znači, ostaci biljaka koje sad stavljamo u kompost, to se može staviti direkt, tako da je to sporo kompostiranje koje kroz zimu dođe na svoje, znači zajedno sa gnojivom se stanji i...
Mene zanima da ga pitate za piljevinu vrstu.
Aha.
Je li to dobro ili to loše?
Sawdust. Is it good or bad to use sawdust?
It depends. Where's the sawdust from?
Visi odakle piljevine.
If they're cutting up wood and it's got a lot of chemicals in it, so like pressed wood or something, you wouldn't want to use that. If it's natural wood, I'd be all over that.
Znači ne od drva za koje znamo da je kemikali ili nešto prirodno.
Just like with really anything you're putting in your garden, you want to make sure there's no pollutants or no chemicals that you're putting into it.
Da,
So you have to
sa
be
bilo što
conscious
se
about that.
stavlja u vrt, biti siguran da nije tretirano.
How and where are you saving water from the rain?
How and where am I saving water from the rain? I direct water from the rain.
Znači kako čuvam i skladištim, zapravo kišnicu, on kaže da ju preusmjerava.
7 meters, 3.5, hold on here. We get 21 centimeters a year.
21 centimetar na godinu.
That's it. It's all the water. You guys got 21 centimeters in the past 2 days. About this much. That's our entire rainfall for the year.
Znači, cijelu godinu to je količina kiše koja se skupi, 21 centimetra. To je sad u zadnjih 2 dana kod nas bilo.
So, one of the strategies that I use is mulch, and lots of it.
Znači, to je jedna strategija, malča puno, komposta.
But with the rainwater collecting, what I do is I direct the rainwater in my yard. So I'll get there. But thank you for that. I plant the water in the ground, so the water comes off of the roof, down a pipe, out of the pipe into an area of the yard, and then I plant the fruit trees around that area in the yard.
Znači, jednostavno preusmjerava vodu, to što je rekao, sa svog krova, kroz cijev, i kroz kolj, cijev na dio zemlje i oko tog dijela gdje, znači, teče ta voda koja nije bog zna koja količina oko godine, oko toga sadi povrće.
So our rainwater harvesting is a design principle in permaculture. We design the landscape, deliver the water there, and then plant the landscape around it. So I'm not saving any water in containers.
Because you don't get much, so what is the difference?
Right, exactly. We don't get much. And it's very expensive to buy containers to put water in.
Znači, ne skladištu, zato nema ni potrebe, nego jednostavno dizajniraju gdje vodu dovedu, tako dizajnira u dvorištu određene, znači, u ovom slučaju voćke, da tamo rastu, da im malo pomogu.
A kontejneri su preskupi?
Da, to kažem. Ne malo je opće za skupljenje, a i kaže kontejneri su skupi. I kod nas se sad neke plaćuje, nije to baš jeftino.
Sad ovo dana 6 litara vode. 6 litara kiše.
Which is the cost of 1 cube of water in your home?
How much does it cost 1,000 liters of water in your town?
I can do this. We don't sell it by the liter, we sell it by the gallon.
4 liters in a gallon.
Okay?
No. 18 liters.
8 liters in a gallon?
I think.
No,
4 liters is a gallon.
4 liters in a gallon.
24,5.
Which we have.
28.
Okay,
19 litara su ovi Podravke.
So this is for city water.
For city, yes.
Podravke.
Tap, yeah.
Yeah, this is for tap water. Okay? So that's 2,800 liters.
Yeah, you want to calculate?
Yeah, hold on. It's about $3. 15 kuna for 2,800 liters.
100.000 litara, 15 kuna.
Ne, 2,800 litara.
2.800.
15 kuna.
15 kuna.
A koliko kod nas košta kubik? 10.
Ja, 1000 litara.
1000 litara 10 kuna, kod njih 2.800 15 kuna.
Znači oko 30.
Nije rekao.
U stvari
A meni
28.
litar si drugo.
2,800.
2.800 litara, no košta 15, a kod nas 1000 litara 10.
Jako zanimljivo.
Cheaper than here.
Je kad se efikasno. Is your supplier of water a private company or a state?
City.
City.
The water comes from the city, and it's collected on the watershed above Phoenix. So it's a bunch of lakes that go into rivers that come into the city. The city pulls some of that water and cleans it for us.
So it's city owned. City owns the company.
City owns the company. Yeah, it's a municipality. It's part of the municipality.
Pričamo o pitku vode ili?
Da, te pote, to je iz vodovoda.
You can drink that water in your city.
Za Srbije.
Yeah, if you like.
Puno klora.
Ima
Puno klora.
Puno klora ima.
There's a lot of chlorine, yeah.
Yes.
So you buy your drinking water?
Filter it. Yeah. I put a whole house chlorine filter on my house about 6 weeks ago. So I filter out all the chlorine.
Do you care about plodored? I don't know how
To je ovo mijenjanje usjeva svakog, changing.
Crop rotation.
Crop rotation, yeah. Do you guys care about crop rotation? Okay.
our grandfather and grandmother care about this.
Yes.
Every 2 years, or
Yes.
every 3 years,
Yes.
or every 4 years.
Every year?
Yeah.
Yes.
Every year.
Yeah. Crop rotation, absolutely. For me, at my house, the crop just rotates itself automatically. Because, you know, at least 50% of what I grow plants itself again the next year. So I figure if a plant comes up there, it knows it wants to grow there. Okay? The rest of the time, just what I have is little gardens. One of my gardens at the urban farm is about the size of all these chairs. And I have like 5 or 6 of those around the yard. So it just happens automatically with me. From a natural perspective or a permaculture perspective, crop rotation's an absolute. Especially if you're growing food to sell. If you want to grow a lot of food, absolutely important.
How much time do you spend on laboring these gardens? Is it labor intensive or is it just, I don't know, a leisure or what?
So, that's a great question. And I'm going to answer it yes.
It's labor intensive. It isn't. It is.
I'm going to add yes to both.
Yes to both.
Labor intensive, right?
Right.
So, in permaculture, what we try and do is we design systems that nature handles. So the nature handles it. So a lot of the systems that I've designed at the urban farm, they just happen without me. So then my job becomes to do a little bit of cleanup and planting every year. The question I get asked, did everybody understand that, or do we need to?
Dobro nam ide, evo.
Znači, u principu, po tim principu permakulture u vrtu rade se sustavi da priroda se sama brine o svemu kako je posađeno. Tako da on u principu nema tu toliko posla, nego samo nadzire i malo počisti. Da.
The question I get asked a lot is how much time do I spend working on my farm?
I puno ga pitaju koliko vremena provodi zapravo na farmi.
Na vrtu.
A to je farm.
Farm je vrt.
And how much did we say we had? 1,000 square meters? Yeah, 1,000 square meters.
Yes.
Yeah, 1,000 square meters. About 4 hours a week.
4 sata na tjedan.
To ni niš.
And then about 4 times a year, probably 60 hours.
I 4 puta na godinu 60 sati.
So what I do is I get it to a place where it pretty much maintains itself, okay? And then about 4 times a year I have to jump in and do a lot of work.
U principu sustav je takav da se to samo održava i onda ja moram samo 4 proći
Da je napraviti veliki posao odjedno.
But given I sit in front of a computer every day,
uzet ću u obzir da svaki dan sjedim kod kompjuterom.
This is happy work for me.
To je
You know, and then I get to go out in the garden.
Da, sretni samo da kad mogu doći u vrt i da.
Koliko ti Dragica tjedno trošiš na
What kind of work is that 4 times a year? What did you do then? You plant something
4 sata tjedno.
flowers?
So that 4 times a year work is things like pruning trees. I have about 80 fruit trees on my property. So there's a lot of fruit tree pruning. Some of the gardens I let get way overgrown, so then it takes, 5 or 10 or 15 hours to go in and clean them up. Often I will do projects. It's like, ooh, I want to do this project. Like I want to put a greenhouse in. I don't have a greenhouse right now, I want to put a greenhouse in. So.
Znači ima preko 80 voćaka, a Ivan je pitao znači, o čem se stoji se taj kao teži posao kaj radi 4 puta na godinu, pa onda znači mora oko se voćka pobrinuti, jel? Nekad pusti zapravo da biljke narastu veće nego bi trebala, pa onda ima s njima posla da to sredi, to onda bude 10-ak sati. A radi u principu male projekte i sljedeći koji bi htjeli je staklenik, koji još sad nema.
And after visiting the Petrick's vineyard up in the hills,
Petrić vinograd je posjetio i nakon što je to vidio,
I have an area of my yard about this size right here
ima područje u vrtu otprilike tako veliko.
that I'm thinking I'm going to plant wine grapes.
I sad planira posaditi grožđe.
Because that was cool.
Jer je super izgledalo.
Yeah, that was really cool. I'll tell you, my experience here with your food system has been an absolute pleasure. I have eaten more local food, locally grown food in the past 10 days than I probably have in the past 5 years. I know.
Znači, super mu je bilo ovo iskustvo do sad, jer je jeo više lokalno proizvedene hrane u ovih 10 dana nego u posljednjih 5 godina.
Yeah. It's been really nice. I want to move here.
Hoće se preseliti.
But I have to convince my girlfriend.
A moram uvjeriti curu.
Obično tako ide.
Do you often drink wine at home?
Do I drink wine at home?
Yes.
Often.
Often.
Yes. 2 or 3 bottles a week.
Do you like this type of wine from Croatia, Petrica and so on?
Yes.
It is better than the wines you drink at home, or?
I don't know better or worse. It's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All good.
It's all good. So for me, permaculture is about a shift in how I think. It was going from the way human beings think to the way nature thinks.
Znači, permakultura je za njega zapravo promjena načina mišljenja od toga da ne kako ljudi misle, nego kako priroda misli.
And permaculture isn't a place to get to. It's a lifestyle to live. It's a way of being. It's a thing to understand over a lifetime. It's not a destination.
Permakultura nije cilj koji se postiže, nego je to stil života, kako se živi.
And what I keep finding is the more I learn about it, the more I can learn about it. I've been studying it for 24 years, and I still discover more things to a deeper level as I stand back and watch.
Okay, good. What do you think on the development of this entire movement in the world? You have watched it grow, right? What do you think about it, and what are its greatest strengths, and also what are the greatest threats to the movement? Can you deter this movement? Can you do something to crush it? I don't know. Is it possible, or it's gonna outplay everything?
Here's why. Permaculture is a very grassroots movement. There is not a leader. There are just people that teach permaculture. And And there are people that teach permaculture all over the world.
Znači, permakultura nema vođu, to samo se sastoji od ljudi koji po svijetu poučavaju permakulturi.
So I don't see a threat to permaculture itself.
Ne vidim prijetnju u permakulturi kao takvoj.
I think our biggest barrier is getting people to understand what it is and to start implementing what it is.
Najveći problem ja vidim zapravo da ljudi shvate što je to i da ju nauče primijeniti.
Teorija zanimljiva.
What else? Permaculture is to study over a lifetime.
Kako država gleda na pojavu malih farmi?
How does the city look upon our urban farm, or how do other people? Yeah.
Very good. So, I have 2 degrees that I got late in life. I got a bachelor's degree in 2004 and a master's degree in 2006.
Znači imam 2 diplome, iz 2004. Prvostupnička, a iz 2006. magisterij.
Both in urban planning.
Kasnijem životnoj dobi.
Urban planning.
Obje iz urbanog planiranja.
So one of the things that I've done a lot over the past 15 years is framed out this notion of permaculture so it's really normal in our culture. Framed out permaculture is normal.
Znači ono što sam ja napravio poslije 15 godina je
Postavio kontekst.
postavio okvir permakulturi, da je zapravo normalna stvar. Da je kao normalno.
And I've spent a lot of time bringing in people from the city to see what I'm doing. In fact, our mayor, the mayor has been to the house. Actually, 2 of our last mayors have been to the house.
I puno vremena sam proveo pozivajući predstavnike vlasti, zapravo 2 gradonačelnika su bila da dođu vidjeti vrtove, da vidi šta je to.
So I've done a lot of work to make that happen.
Puno posla sam napravio da to funkcionira.
How many urban farms at the moment do you have in
Phoenix?
Where you live?
Where I live. So about 5 years ago, I started a project called 10,000 Urban Farms. My goal being 10,000 urban farms in Phoenix. I'd say we have 2,000.
Prije 5 godina dao se za cilj da se u stvari projekt 10.000 urbanih farma, sad ih je 2.000.
We're making progress. Here's the simple thing though. Here's what an urban farmer is. Did we talk about this the other day?
Yes.
Yes, we did. I'll reiterate. An urban farmer, how many people grow food? Everybody put up their... You all grow food, and you share it with somebody, right? You're an urban farmer. That's it. Grow food and share it.
Znači, definicija urbanog farmera, svi smo mi farmeri u tom smislu da uzgajamo hranu i dijelimo ju automatski.
And then in our culture, I have people name their urban farms.
I u mojoj kulturi imam ljudi iz svoje farme nazivaju urbanom farmom.
Because then if a named farm has more social credibility.
Jer farma koju date ima veći kredibilitet u društvu.
So I'd say there's about 2,000. And give me 5 years and we'll be to 10,000.
Sad ih je 2.000, za nekih 5 godina doći ćemo do 10.
One thing I haven't said yet, I did a seminar about, well, in 1991, same year I did my permaculture design course, I did a seminar.
1991. sam i održao seminar.
And I created a mission for my life that I am the person on the planet responsible for transforming how we raise food on the whole planet. That's my responsibility.
Dao sam si kao misiju da je moja odgovornost da promijenim
Način na koji uzgajamo hranu.
Način na koji uzgajamo hranu.
And you can do the same. You just have to stand up and say, we're going to change this. Just like, you know, you did with this garden. Just like, you know, you did with what he's working on. We're the people that make this change in the world. The big change happens from a grassroots level up.
Znači, samo čovjek treba reći ja to mogu napraviti, kako se vrtovi pokrenuti, krene se, jel, može se.
So every morning I step into that I'm the person responsible for transforming how we raise food on this planet. It's my vision, yeah. I don't know if it will happen, but that's what I intend every single day. That's what I step into. And I'll tell you what, 6 weeks ago, I wasn't going to Croatia. 6 weeks ago, I was planning a June where I was going to be writing all of June. And I ran into a professor on campus where I teach, and he said he was doing this workshop in Croatia on food systems, and I said, you should take me. And he said yes, and I'm here. And I say, that's because I wake up every morning intending that I'm the person on the planet responsible for transforming how we raise food. And I'm no different than you are. I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like you do. This is how we make a difference in the world. Did they get it all?
No, we hope so.
Da, uglavnom to je njegova misija koja si je uzeo da se na cijelom svijetu promijeni način na koji se hrana proizvodi. I ne znam da li će uspjeti, ali to je ono što ga vodi svaki dan, ustaje radi toga i uzbuđen je, jako je neke stvari, promjene se neke koji događaju, prije 6 dana nije znao da će ići u Hrvatsku, pa je sreo profesora koji je pričao da ide proučavati ovdje sisteme prehrane, i rekao je samo moraš me uzeti sa sobom. I tako da, ne znam, veliki njegov entuzijazam koji je i strast koji je posveća toj svojoj misiji koju si uzeo kao svoju životnu misiju, znači i vizija je ta da će se stvari promijeniti, ali toga ne mijenja i dalje običan čovjek koji nogavica po nogavicu oblači hlače. Tako je. I svaki doprinos tome je u svakom od nas samo da se odlučimo da pokušamo nešto probamo. To je to kad se stvari mijenja.
And tell him that was me preaching. You had a question you wanted to...
Just about that food sharing. You share your surpluses, right?
Oh yes.
You exchange it, or just give it away, or you sell it?
Very good question. So, I'm an educator, and what I do is I teach people about growing their own food. So, the urban farm is my educational space. And I grow 50, 75, 100 different things. So I have a little bit of a lot of things. So at any given moment, I can go out and harvest an entire meal from the yard.
Okay. Znači, pitao sam o tome, kaže, da moraš sadiš, dijeliš, to jest you share kao dijeli s ljudima, rekao na koji to način i kaže da ima znači puno raznih biljaka i uvijek uzgaja puno toga različitog i uvijek mu nečega ostane i on u svakom trenutku može cijeli obrok natati u svom vrtu. A sad dolazimo do toga šta radi sa ostatkom.
What do you say? And then the next piece of this is that I don't plant anything you can't eat. I plant something, you got to be able to eat it. Period. Right? Or it supports edibles. So flowers fall into that category as well. So a lot of the food that I actually raise at the urban farm we either eat ourselves or I give it away. Because I am of the opinion that food grows for free. We should grow it and give it away.
Ok, znači da, dijel je sve što raste na ukupnoj farmi ima znači svoju svrhu, treba biti jestivo ili podržavajuće, znači neke biljke koje se ne jedu, ali podržavaju druge jestive biljke i da je, znači on vjeruje to, on dijeli svoje viškove jer vjeruje to da to raste samo po sebi, znači da on to samo pomaže.
In the early 1990s, a friend of mine went on a sailing trip in the South Pacific. And they pulled up to an island in their boat, they anchored, they went onto the island looking for a grocery store. The people living on the island laughed at them and said, go pick it yourself. And that 20 plus years ago really instilled in me that we should have food growing everywhere.
To znači zanimljivo pričati sa njegovim prijatelji, your friends.
A friend.
Su bili u Južnom Pacifiku, putovali, što ja znam, stali na nekom otoku pa pitali mještane gdje je grocery store kao trgovina s namirnicama, jel? A oni su se smijali i rekli, idete se sami naberite, da to ne postoji, znači to je ono što mu se urezalo da hrana treba rasti posebno i biti svima dostupna.
Just makes sense. Yeah.
Ima smisla jednostavno.
I have a question. So you don't produce food for the market?
Correct. I do not produce. I have in the past. When I was an undergraduate getting my degree, one of the things that I did to make money every week was I grew stuff in the yard and I went to the market. But I don't do that anymore.
Do the others on the urban farms in Phoenix?
Some of them do. Some of them do. Some of them are just into education, like myself, and some of them are just into growing healthy food.
I mean, do they live from where they grow?
Oh yeah. Most of the urban farms in Phoenix are a house and a farm together. And really it's the house and somebody's yard.
And they make a living from the garden?
No. This is not the way that, just like here, this is not the way that people make a living in the States. We have a problem in the States. We have bad food. It's corporate food, it's got GMOs in it, it's unhealthy, it's highly chemicalized, it's bad food. If we want to get good food, a lot of times we have to grow it ourselves.
Znači imaju velik problem u Americi, hrana je prepuna kemikalija, genetski modificirana, tretirana, jednostavno korporacijska hrana, tako da ako želite dobru hranu, u većinu slučajeva morate ju sami uzgojiti. A prije toga je bilo pitanje da li druge farme znači uzgajaju hranu za prodaju, kaže neke da, neke ne, ali uglavnom su to sve urbane farme koje su znači kuća i vrt okolo i mislim većina ljudi je to za vlastite potrebe i hobi, ali neki znači ipak i zarađuju to.
Do you have something like community supported agriculture?
Great question. So CSA, or community supported agriculture, we have a lot of those. And I was wondering why, do you guys have that? Is there CSAs here?
There is in past few years the thing is growing, but still in process.
Yeah, okay. Because I was wondering where they were. We have a lot of them. One of the, so community-supported CSA, community-supported agriculture is, you pay a farmer $25 a week, like the 125 kunas a week, and they give you a basket of food of what they're growing.
Da, znači, pitanje je bilo lokalne kao
sustav potpore lokalnih poljoprivrednika za kupovnu hranu.
Tako je, suradnje znači sa lokalnim proizvođačima gdje znači kod njih postoji da za $25 mjesečno dobiješ svaki tjedan košaru hrane, znači direktno od farmera, znači jedni druge se podržavate svoje lokalne proizvođače, dobivate svježe i lokalne namirnice, pa je pitao Greg da li imamo ovdje toga, kaže da se to razvija, to se ne zaplaži, znači u polovima je, ali ide k tome, ne?
Taking your picture. Thank you. So yes, we have a lot of CSAs. In fact, my mom belongs to one.
Is it special, under some special law, or is it legal, completely legal?
Completely legal. So to grow food, fresh food, to grow fresh food in your garden and take it to the market, you don't need any permits. You don't need any, you just grow food and take it to the market. If you want to grow food and make jam, you need special permits. So if you add value to it, then you need special permits. But growing food, you can grow all the food you want, share it with whoever you want.
I mean, you don't have to pay tax on it, you don't have to...
Well, that's a different story. Anytime you have money coming in, the government wants their little piece of it, right?
Znači jednostavno kako tamo djeluje da li ima kakvi posebni zakoni, naravno može svako prodavati hranu, ali naravno ima tu nekih poreza, ali svako ko kupi, znači voće ili povrće, neko je sad nešto radi s tim, radi džem od nekog voća, to je kao dodavanje vrijednosti, to je onda oporezno.
Greg, share how big the market is compared to here for all of Phoenix. If there's a farmer's market, how big is it compared to here?
Oh, wow. Usually our farmers markets in Phoenix have 1 or 2 farmers.
That's it?
No way.
That's it.
Znači njihova tržnica je 2-3 farmera.
If food...
Što to znači 2-3 farmera? Koliko zdravo?
2-3 uzgajivača, proizvođača.
You say for all Phoenix about half the size of our place up here.
Nema veze koliko je učinu, nego 2-3 farmera.
What's that?
Doesn't make sense.
Oh, I know. It doesn't make sense to me.
For all the Phoenix, the farmers market is just a few farmers.
Yeah.
And they have like...
There's probably in Phoenix, in an area of 4.5 million people, there's probably 25 farmers markets that happen on different days. And each farmers market has 1 or 2 farmers.
Znači, to je grad od 4,5 milijuna ljudi, imaju oni 25 tržnica, ali ipak na svakoj tržnici samo nekoliko...
Znači 50-ak farmera, proizvođača cijele Phoenix.
7,5 milijuna. Znači, to je isto.
These farmers, suppliers are small scale farmers or large scale?
They're small scale farmers. Our biggest farmer in Phoenix, let's see, 25 acres, 10 hectares. That's our biggest farmer in Phoenix. The rest of them are smaller.
And any other land is for corporate production?
Yes. Yeah, we have a lot of farming, but it's big ag farming. Chemicals, cotton, corn.
So there is no, people to not go to farmers markets or what? It's just not.
There's no culture for that. Little.
So you have
Just Walmart and...
It's baffling to me. Phoenix has a problem. If food stops coming into it, there's no, we don't have any food. That's a problem. If food stopped coming into this area, you guys could do okay. We can't. It's over for Phoenix.
Is it a problem for entire America, or it's just a regional specific, or take into account big cities, mega cities? Is it a problem for LA, for I don't know?
Yes, yeah. It's pretty much a problem for big cities. Right? Rural areas, it's not so much of a problem, but big cities, it's a problem.
Is it expensive to buy a piece of land for a farm in Phoenix? Or is there any free land?
Oh yeah, plenty.
Yeah.
Very expensive. Very expensive. Yeah.
And it's a desert. It's a desert and it's expensive land.
It's desert and it's expensive land. Let's see here. I can do this. 1 hectare in Phoenix would cost 750 million kuna. Million. It runs $1 million an acre.
It's 100 million euros.
No.
Ne, if it's $1 million, ako je po hektar, po acre je RAL, ne, to ti je 0,6 hektara ti je $1 million.
Euros would be, for a hectare would be, let's see, times 7, about 2.5 million euros for a hectare in Phoenix.
No? Gle, RAL se iznajmlje 0,6 hektara po $1 million. Ti je jedan RAL. Onda znaš koliko ti hektar ti je, ako je ovo 0,6 hektara, znači hektar je 1,4 ili 1,3 RAL. No, pomnoži milijun sa... Isuse Bože.
Znači, naši vrtovi bi u Phoenixu...
No, koštali užas. Pol hektara su naši vrtovi, dok dobijemo sve $500 milijuna bi koštalo. $500 milijuna. Ili više još.
Yeah, no kidding. My 1/10 of an acre, or 1/10 of a hectare, is worth, and I bought it 25 years ago when it wasn't worth anywhere near this, but right now it's worth 1.5 million kuna, about 300,000 US.
Yes, dobro.
Znači, ta desetina hektara njegove zemlje sada vredi $1,5 milijuna kuna.
No, 300,000
dolara.
What about all the vacant land?
Znači, 1000 kvadrata zemlje.
Did somebody ask that?
No, that's not.
Okay. I didn't pay that for it. I paid 550,000 kuna for it. That's like 89,000 US 25 years ago. And I wouldn't buy it now. It's not a piece of property I would buy now. So the question is, what about all the vacant land in Phoenix? It's vacant. We have about a 40% of our land in Phoenix is just empty.
We have in Croatia too the problem with unused land.
Unused land, yeah. And it's very expensive, unused land.
Private property or companies?
Some of both. Some of both. So, thank you for coming and spending some time with me this evening. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. I have to tell you, you'll have to interpret this probably for me. This has been one of the hardest talks I've ever had to give, and I give a lot of talks. Yeah.
Znači, puno govora je držao, ali smatra ovo najtežim govorom, najtežim predavanjem koje je držao.
Jer ovo nije bilo predavanje, neki bil razgovor.
Yeah, this was a conversation, not a lecture.
Well, that's what I normally do is conversations, but it's requiring me to be a lot more present because of the, the language difference. So thank you for being patient with me.
Hvala što ste bili strpljivi sa mnom.
I greatly, greatly appreciate it. I'm doing a couple of things. First of all, my newsletter. I put out a newsletter once every 2 weeks on urban farming. And I would like to share that with you. You can give me your email address before you leave if you like. I know some of you already did.
Znači svaka 2 tjedna stavim na stranicu kao newsletter, da, htio bih podijeliti to s vama, imam već neke vaše mailove.
Because I do a lot of education in it. You know, I teach a lot of things in the newsletter.
Da, jer u njima poučavam puno.
The other thing that I've done is on the forum on my website, I've started a space for my Croatia trip. And I'd like to invite you to start interacting with my friends at home so that we can start creating this bridge between us, you and us, so we can learn from each other. Because I have learned so much in the past 10 days since I've been here. I'm getting chills all the way down.
Znači, postavio na svojem forumu, znači na stranici Urbane farme, jednu temu o tom svom putu u Hrvatsku i tamo bih htio da pokrenemo, znači, most između Hrvatske i njegove prijatelja na tom forumu, znači da
interakcija se odvija i da se razmjenjujemo komunikaciju.
Da.
Just tell them about the children. Thank you. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Greg for coming with a little short for you to one of us. And also he left one of his book here. Ok, ostavio jednu svoju knjigu kad je bio na vrtovima i to će biti, znači, prva knjiga neke buduće male zelene knjižnice dok ćemo, znači, imati gdje to ostaviti, dok ćemo imati neku veću alatnicu i slično, znači da skupljamo knjige slične tematike. Isto tako nam je već ostavio znači nešto zanimljivog sjemenja iz Arizone, nekoliko vrste, to ćemo znači ostaviti pođerke. Pa ako koga zanima o čemu se radi, ako želi probati posaditi, tamo to može, znači, u sljedećim danima. Eto, toliko. Thank you.
There we go.